Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a first look at our very newest hero here in Paragon, Serath. We're taking a first look in a bot game because I believe that you have to try out heroes in bot games, because if you don't, you're wrong. You need to get used to how the character plays, at least in their kit, at least learn the buttons, at least learn what the abilities do, and try it in bot games. Try out your builds, see how they work. If you don't do that, I am sorry, but you are wrong. I don't mean to say that in a negative way. I just say that you need to try stuff out. That is the only safe way. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying out her abilities, seeing how they work, what kind of things we can come up with from her abilities, see how she plays, and maybe even try out only one build, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go in Serath. So the very first thing we're going to do here is I have a few decks. Now this morning, while my son and I were up, happy reading his books, I had my PS4, so we were playing with DPS Serath. I mean, we're going to talk about how she scales and all, and her stats and whatnot, but I tried that out. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. So we're going to go for Lifesteal Serath. Basically the same thing, just with Lifesteal here on Sword of the Altar. So the really nice thing about her is actually both builds work out so that we have 3 spots for equipment slots, and or 3 extra slots for perfect health potion and 2 cast tokens. Works really well. That's exactly what we need here in the early game. Now, her abilities in the early game here. What do we go for? Well, simply put, her right click is Chastise. It's a slow on the enemy. On the enemy player that also deals some damage as well. It also is a small AoE in front of you, a small cone, and that's obviously a slow. That could be good for getting away, but there's something even better. Her E ability is called Ascend. You ascend into the air, you hover, and then you dive forward a fair distance, and you just kind of do that. So it's a great escape and obviously an engage. Heaven's Fury gives you attacks some people in an AoE, but gives you damage immunity. So that sounds super awesome, but it keeps you But unfortunately, it keeps you in the same position, which doesn't really help you escape. So I think for most of the times, we're gonna have to go with Ascend as our first ability, just so that we can get away just like that. Except if we were disengaging, we would use it to disengage and stay safe. The next ability we would get, to play it on the safe side, would have to be here Heaven's Fury. That is our Q ability, and it's, like I said, a damage immunity. So for the duration of the ability, where you kind of do this, and then for the duration of that, so just 0.75 seconds, whatever it is, it's very short, you gain immunity. You gain immunity to damage that's applied on you. So it actually works very nice for whole sorts of abilities, as I'm sure you can imagine. So that's going to work very well as we try to kind of mitigate some damage, mitigate some abilities. That's going to be really good if you are against a ranger or against a caster here in the safe lane, like a Gadget with her sticky mind. You'll be able to totally negate that. It'll work very well. And then the third ability we're going to get, probably most of the time, is going to be Chastise. It slows the enemy while doing a little bit of damage in a cone area of effect for 125 max movement speed. So most of the time, I'm going to have to say that you go for your Ascend just to play it safe, and then you go for your Heaven's Fury, and then Chastise. That's probably what I would say. So here in the early game, her basic attack is actually really quite nice. You have a really easy time landing the ability here. We're going to do that just to finish off the Greystone. This is bots. I understand. Some of you are going to be mad, but guys, if you're not testing out on bots, I'm sorry. You're wrong. Test the characters out. Test out their abilities. You have to do it. You have to do it, okay? You just have to. So the next thing we have to talk about is upgrading her abilities. For sure, I think Heaven's Fury is probably going to be the best. So when you are here in this lane here, once you get Ascend, all that happens when you upgrade it is you increase the damage. So you don't reduce the cooldown or anything like that. So once you get it, it's served its purpose. You can disengage and engage here in this off lane, or here in the safe lane, just fine. But if you upgrade Heaven's Fury, look at that cooldown reduction. 6 whole seconds have been reduced from the cooldown, as now we're going to be level 3. Level 1, it was 24 seconds. 24 seconds, and here we actually have a whole bunch, like even well, just the same. It's 6 seconds less, down to 12 seconds now, down from 24. And what that is going to do is enable you to get that immunity even more, especially against especially if you have a cast. If you have a caster that you're going up against, you're going to be able to you know, get that immunity from their spells that much more. So I would definitely say go for Heaven's Fury before anything else, just because that's going to be, you're going to be able to oh, he has his ultimate. Nope. So yeah, you're gonna have his ultimate. I mean, you're gonna have that disengage from Ascend already, so there's really no point in upgrading its damage. It's served its purpose. You have that engage and disengage. After that, really, I would start upgrading Chastise. That is going to be what's going to work probably the best, as just that you're going to increase the slow. So again, Ascend, it's only 50 or so damage. I won't be upgrading that until I have no other choice, just because that utility, I think, is actually a part of what makes Serath so damn good, as hopefully you're going to see here. So I would definitely prioritize Heaven's Fury, at least here in the early game, a little bit more than Chastise, and then go from there. So we're going to finish out this silly Greystone, and then go back for our next card here, as we're having a bit of trouble. So the really cool thing about Heaven's Fury, as you just saw there, is that you gain immunity for a brief moment, but it actually attacks. There's a brief 0.2 second delay per target of the damage between all targets in that area. So as we see here, what actually happens is it actually applies your basic attack. It actually applies your basic attack. It's not a spell. You can see here basic damage between all players. So that it benefits from crit. It benefits from crit. So that means that if you build large amounts of crit, which is definitely what I recommend we do, you can actually crit on those abilities on those heroes. So it's basically like a whole, you know, in the cinematic trailer when she's hitting all of the other heroes, that's literally, I think, what that ability is doing. That's literally what's happening. Now we can talk about her ultimate, Heresy. It's pretty badass. It applies an AoE burst of weakness and burn for 3 seconds on all targets nearby. Now what that burn is obviously just an ability damage over time, but the weakness is actually the more interesting thing here. The weakness reduces damage that the enemy deals by 90%. So we're gonna do this here, and we're gonna come in on this on this Murdoch here. We're gonna do this and just kind of completely just annihilate him. It is a bot. Remember that. Please don't hate me for it. But it reduces the damage by 90%. If you can get the entire team in the entire enemy team in the effect of your ultimate, you are essentially making the whole entire enemy team completely useless. Completely useless. Now, what else does it do? It adds weakness and burn with other abilities for 18 seconds. For the next 18 seconds, whenever you land an ability on a hero, it applies the same debuff to those heroes. So any other heroes that you hit with abilities for 18 seconds while your ultimate is active, they deal 90% less damage. Are you kidding me? So, ladies and gentlemen, basically, when you have your ultimate up and you land an ability on whoever is attacking you, it's just, you can just survive. You just survive through anything. The only time that really it doesn't necessarily work as intended is when you have enemies attacking you that you didn't land your ultimate on or abilities. So you have to be careful. If you think you're invincible in your ultimate, you're not. You're not. You need to land abilities on heroes while your ultimate is active in order for you to get that 90% damage debuff on an enemy target. Now, what also happens is when you hit somebody with an ability, you also apply a buff to your basic attack. Bonus basic damage to targets with burn. So if you apply if you apply that debuff to an enemy, you then on your next basic attack deal basic damage to targets with the burn. And with all your basic attacks afterwards. So for 3 seconds after an ability, they are burning and have weakness on them. So use an ability and then hit basic attacks on them for 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, they won't be burning and won't have that basic attack buff on them anymore. So then you can hit them with another ability and then keep that passive on. That debuff. It's insane. So as soon as you have your ultimate active, stagger your basic attacks in between your abilities, because you want to be hitting a target. You want to be hitting a target with that burn as much as possible. So make sure that once you have your ultimate, I'm going to say it again, stagger your abilities so that your basic attack gets that bonus damage. I guess that's the buff. Yeah, buff. Now, to make it even more complicated, Chastise is thrown in there. It's actually not really all that complicated. It's a small cone in front of you, so you can actually have pretty good wave clear once you have a fairly large amount of power here. As you see, we're 31 here with a whole bunch of Wingcarver blades and this Voidsteel dagger. Dagger. Sorry, I say dagger wrong. So watch this as this applies our basic attack to all of those minions there. It applies that. So let's actually go and just kind of nuke down this phase. So watch. We're gonna do this. That applies that burn. Boom. 1, 2. I'm gonna wait 3 seconds, and we just nuke her down anyways. But you kind of get the idea. For 3 seconds after you hit a target with your ability, then you gain that basic attack buff. You wait, use your next ability on them, etc., etc. It's damn powerful. It's damn powerful. So let's go and see what we can do here with this howitzer. So what are we thinking? We're thinking we basically have to play like an assassin. Oop. Where's he going? Okay. We basically have to play like an assassin. So here I'm gonna have to use my. Oh, I don't have my ultimate actually. Can I burst him down? Oh, they're getting gone. Okay. So that's exactly what you probably don't want to do. It's probably exactly what you don't want to do. Be out in the open, run in from... Well, behind is good, but like that, no, you don't want to do that. You're playing and building her like a fighter. More like an assassin. But she's a fighter, but she scales like a carry. So hopefully that made sense. And that's kind of how she seems like to me. I mean, this is only my second game with her, but I like to consider myself fairly quick study. She plays like an assassin. She deals the damage like a carry, but probably is, yeah. I mean, just build her like a high damage fighter assassin. Deals the damage like a carry. Gotta play her like an assassin, basically. That's kind of what she feels like to me. So the next thing we can actually talk about is how she scales. Exactly how does she scale? What is her stats? What kind of the underlying stats behind her? So her basic attack is... I can just keep it simple. She's actually just like Twin Blast. She scales just like Twin Blast. She's basically just a melee Twin Blast as a female, except not, I don't know, she's kind of he's a thief or something. He's a criminal. She's basically Twin Blast. She scales exactly like Twin Blast. Her basic attack is the same. She doesn't get attack speed like Twin Blast doesn't. Her scaling is 1, just like Twin Blast. Her attack speed is 0, just like Twin Blast. Her damage per level, I think, is the same. 1.6 damage, 1.6 basic attack damage per hero level, and that's about it. That's about it. She has a 1.2 second cooldown on her basic attack, but Twin Blast has a 1 second. 1.2. She's pretty much exactly like the same. So just like if you, didn't mean to do that. If you know, guys, the numbers of Twin Blast, he's basically like a 20. He's like 20-15-15, a little bit more crit. So she's just like Twin Blast. She does need a significant amount of attack speed. She does need more than 10 to 12 CP's worth of attack speed. She does need it, just because she doesn't gain any per level. But she loves crit. She does love crit because of her lower basic attack damage, base damage, I mean. So she does like her crit. She likes it a lot. She can definitely use it. So, oh, hello there, Murdoch. I'm not sure why I did that. But you're dead anyway, so yeah, we can do this here. Boom! And he's dead. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. She really likes crit because of her low base damage, just like Twin Blast. She does like quite a bit of attack speed and a lot of power. That's pretty much it with her. Now this build here that we're doing, actually it actually includes here. So I'm gonna use. Oh, I totally fucked that up. Oh well, doesn't really matter as B. Oh, okay. No, there's the burn. Hey. totally messed that up. So. In this build, we have some lifesteal in it. The previous one, I would just went all damage, simply because Twin Blast and, well, all the Rangers scale really well with really high amounts of damage. So if you go from like 50 CP total into attack speed damage and etc. If you go from 50 to 55, like DPS increases by 25%. Like it goes from 400 something to like 500 and something. Like it's crazy. Just an extra an extra 10% of CP gives you 25% increased DPS. Like those last, whatever it is, that last 5 CP is just nuts. Like it's just stupid. So, you know, going. Oh, I didn't even see that. Going really high damage is just insane. It's monstrous. It's ridiculous. So that is why I kind of toyed with the idea of going for super high DPS. Serath in my previous build here that I tried this morning on my PlayStation. But here, we're trying out lifesteal. Her Epic has for some reason recommended has recommended ability pen in the in the deck builder screen. Even though I've seen the devs from their live streams recommend crit, which isn't even recommended on the deck builder screen. So I don't know what's going on with them, because the devs suggest attack speed and a lot of crit, but crit bonus isn't even suggested. So like, I don't even know what's going on over there, because she really likes it. As the way she scales, the way the math works, she really likes it. Now, the thing that I don't necessarily like about lifesteal is that she has amazing abilities to negate damage. So think about it. Heaven's Fury gives you immunity. Heaven's Fury gives you immunity to ability, just straight up ultimates, gadget mines, Richter pulls, Grim ultimates, just straight up immunity. So there's that. With Ascend, she can dive out of steel ultimate. She can do a whole bunch. She can do a lot. So I'm not entirely, I'm not too sold on lifesteal for her, just because she has so much potential to negate damage and just be a complete beast. So I don't know. I maybe struggle to do that, but as a carry, she's going to deal so much damage. She's going to deal a ridiculous amount of damage. So if you want to build any more sustain than that, lifesteal's going to be it. So if we do that, then what else can we do? So I'm going to use our ultimate here. Kaboom, kaboom. There's just going to completely I mean, they're bots, only level whatever, but it's stupid. It's stupid. So I don't know. Honor the Pure does seem like another great option. It's basically like another invulnerability button. You press it, you gain a significant shield, and there you go. So, what do you do? Do you emphasize, do you emphasize the fact that she deals so much damage when you put that last 5 CP that you otherwise would have, in Honor the Pure? Like, that 6 CP you put into Honor the Pure increases your DPS by 25 to 30%. Is that worth it? We're dealing... I don't really necessarily want to end the game this quick. We're dealing 400 damage a shot, like including our crits here on these heroes. In my previous game, we were doing 500, and we're swinging much faster than this. Granted, I do have the 3 card power to go into that that whirling wand, but that last 6, we spent a lot of CP here on lifesteal. We spent 4, 7, 9, 10 CP. Like, that could skyrocket her DPS like nobody's business. It'd be stupid. Is that worth it? Do you bank on your abilities to gain immunity, to get out of ultimates, to, slow people? That's 3 things to get out of certain abilities and certain amounts of damage. Do you emphasize that? Do you play to that and just do a stupid amount of damage and have a crazy amount of utility with your weakness and your burn from your ultimate? It's going to be like, look at this. Oh my goodness, look at this. Just look at this damage. That's how fast we swing. This is mathematically correct here. I have checked it out on my stuff. So let's see here. Let's use our ultimate here. There we go. We're gonna do this ability here to gain that. But let's use this. Oh, that actually doesn't work there. So, and he's standing in it. So, but look at this. We're just life stealing off of this like nobody's business. The life steal is there. Like, what? Like, what? Like, I'm not even worried about this because we can probably just regenerate off of all that. Again, guys, I understand that they're bots. I understand, okay? I understand. But to get her playstyle, to get how she reacts here with this. Like it's gonna be nuts. So here we're going to go up here, do this, and oh no! I actually finished her off with the Q from afar, which I mean, and then this lifesteal. Like I think this is gonna be the way to go. I think this is gonna be the way to go. A whole bunch of damage, emphasize, get a little bit of pen here on the Void Steel Dagger, just to try to get that basic attack just kind of emphasized. They do recommend ability pen. Of all things, I don't know, but you know what, to me, I think that she's gonna have like Twin Blast and Sparrow. They need their damage. They need their damage because they're low base damage from on their basic attack. So they're going to have a lot of power anyways. They do need a lot of power, so their abilities are going to get very nicely served from that in that respect. So if we take that into account, then we should probably emphasize her basic attack more, simply because she's going to have a lot of power anyways. So let's emphasize her basic attack anyways. So you know what, guys, I don't know. There you guys go. There's the first look, theory crafting in Serath. We can certainly take a look here at my build and kind of go through some theory crafting as well for her. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember that she scales like Twin Blast. She's basically a melee Twin Blast, except much better looking, and works just like him. So, with Serath, we can take a look here at well, let's first take a look at the build. So the final build here is a Sword of the Altar, Windcarver Blade, this Windcarver Blade with the minor kinetic, this Whirling Wand, Void Steel Dagger, Spear of the Rift Hunter, and this Rift Mage's Scepter. So she likes a lot of crit, but it's a little bit more even with attack speed, at least at this CP level, than you would think. So this Spear of the Rift Runner and this Rift Mage's Scepter is as much crit as this build needs. 4, 8, 12, 15, 16 CP into crit that's enough. And then for attack speed, this Whirling Wand and this Windcarver Blade here with 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14 CP into attack speed is enough. So you can see that it's definitely more than Murdoch and Grim need. Like they only need 10 to 12, not even like 9 to 11 CP of attack speed. Whereas Serath here, she and Twin Blast and Sparrow, especially Sparrow, needs more attack speed, pardon me. So as you can see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14 CP into attack speed. She does need it because she doesn't gain any as she levels up hero wise. Then I chose, like, they suggest ability pen. That's probably due to her ultimate applying that burn, and just that there's the burn on everybody around you, and then on all targets that you hit with your ability. So like the fact that it can just multiply on a whole bunch of different targets, that's probably why they suggest ability pen. But then again, on their own live stream, they were suggesting crit chance heavily. Like they said crit chance, but then they don't recommend it here. So I've kind of almost given up mostly on what they suggest down here and simply just go with what the math says. She works just like Twin Blast, kind of like Sparrow. She likes her crit and her attack speed, not just as much damage as it can. In this build, we went for Sword of the Altar with quite a bit of lifesteal here, 25%, just because she A is melee and B does a lot of damage. So it's gonna really work if you can. The nuance of Serath is her immunities, is her elusive nature here. She is indeed elusive, and look, there you go, elusive assassin and durable through her abilities. So I very much like those traits for her. You have to play her like an assassin, and then the durability comes from the nuances of her abilities. Can you use her immunity for key for really, really key moments? You know, gadget mines, steel ultimates. Actually, can you get out of a steel ultimate with her ascend? Just use those abilities for key moments. Don't use them to engage. Don't use them, you know, you have to be an assassin. You have to come in from the side. You have to jump on the enemy, and then when they're like, oh crap, and then they use their abilities, then you can either dodge them, gain that immunity to totally negate them, and then just close the gap again. Just nuts. Just nuts. I think that the lifesteal is an appropriate complement to her elusiveness and her durability, because like a blink charm, that certainly would be really cool. The lifesteal here would feed really well into a stab link, but you know what? I think she doesn't need it. Yeah. So, guys, let's go take a look at the spreadsheet very quickly, because I want to show you something. So, this is the build that we have right now. 20 power penetration, 14 attack speed, 16 crit chance, producing 575 freaking DPS. What? Like, I mean, compare that to Twin Blast here. Twin Blast, I think, is going to do a little bit more. Oh, exactly the same. Look at that. How funny. Exactly the same, except he wants a little less power, a little more attack speed. Let's go to Murdoch, though. He's just a beast right now. He's going to deal much more. 100 more DPS. But remember, he doesn't have the utility that, obviously, Twin Blast and especially Serath has. So, well, let's go back to Serath here. I want to show you something. So, that 6 CP you want to spend on Honor the Pure, that 6 CP you want to spend on Honor the Pure here, say we have Honor the Pure in here and we don't have that lifesteal or whatever, watch this. Take out that Honor the Pure and put in more damage and attack speed and crit chance. 575 DPS. 688. 688 for 6 CP. So, for a little more than 10% more CP, you gain 688. That's 100 and something at 50. What was this? 57. Oh goodness. That's basically basically almost 20%. That's basically almost 20% increase. So you get, like, what? You can see that last little bit of CP pays off tremendously in here. Like, it's just nuts. Just like Twin Blast here. Just like Twin Blast, that last little bit of power that you put on him really amplifies his damage. 577, just 10% more investment in those stats boosts your damage by almost 20%. So it's crazy. And then if you wanted to be, I mean, absolutely ridiculous here, go, like, look at this. Look at this. For 10 more CP, we've increased your DPS by 200 damage. If you can stay alive for even 5 seconds, 1,000 damage, that's another hero just deleted from the game, right? Almost. Not quite, but insane. So if you can get away, if you can play her without that lifesteal, if you can play her with just all damage, and really, really, really feel the nuances of her immunity, of her ascend, I think, you know what, she can be an absolute baller. An absolute baller. As it stands here with the build that we currently did, we're doing 577 DPS. With that lifesteal, 25% of that every second. I think it's pretty badass. So, guys, there you go. There's a first look in Serath. Hopefully that covers everything. The takeaway here is play her like an assassin. Use her abilities for those clutch moments. Use that invulnerability for those super key moments. Just wait for them. And then boom. You can turn that engagement around, because the thing that the enemy was counting on destroying you all of a sudden is negated. all of a sudden is completely negated. So if you can really get her nuances down, I think she can be an absolute force on the enemy team. We didn't actually talk about where she belongs. Some people are saying she's great in the off lane, mid lane, no. But obviously in the safe lane, obviously going to be there. I mean, she's a melee carry. She's going to have to play very, very safe. Being melee in the early game, she's not gonna scale very well in the early game because she's a carry, so she's gonna have to be pretty babied and she's gonna have a strong support for sure in order for her to really shine. So I think, guys, that's all for this video, as we've talked enough, and hopefully, guys, you enjoyed this little sneak peek into how she plays. I know it's bots again, I understand, but go into a bot game, try out your builds, try her out, get a good feeling for her before you go into PvP. If you don't do that, you're doing this community a disservice by experimenting in PvP. And yes, experimenting is good, but not just learning how to ride a bicycle for the first time. So there you guys go. Please let me know how you feel about this video down in the comments below. What do you think of Serath? How do you think of her builds? What do you think is going to be some really key cards for her? I'm feeling like pretty all out for Serath. I think her abilities have some great potential, and if you can play her really, really well, I think she's going to be an absolute beast. So please share this with the community, and of course, guys, subscribe. If you guys like this content, found it useful, please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.